So we're gonna wrap up SummerSlam season here. We're doing our top 5 ever SummerSlam moments. Initially I was like, it could be moments, it can be whatever. It doesn't have to necessarily be a match. For me, it's actually, it's matches, just because SummerSlam is an iconic pay-per-view staple that's been around for a very long time. So for me, it's definitely the matches, but it's more the moments in the matches themselves that
same here.
made it for me. So for me, I'll start it off here with my top 5. So my number 5 greatest SummerSlam moment of all time has got to be Shawn Michaels overselling to Hulk Hogan in 2005. That's my number 5 moment. I think it's just it's the best screw you that Shawn's kind of ever done without if you really watch it and you watch old Hulk Hogan matches, he wrestled it perfectly. It's just overselling was the thing in the 80s. So it's it really wasn't like that he oversold it. It's just that it's 2005, so he was a much better bell-to-bell wrestler. And it's kind of sticking it to the man, made you look strong, brother, type thing. And, number 5 overall SummerSlam moment for me is HBK Hogan. Where are you at on it?
Okay, my number 5 SummerSlam moment of all time, even though the one you just mentioned is actually my number 4, so I'll go ahead and get that out of the way.
Okay.
But my number 5 is Shane O'Mac versus Steve Blackman when
okay, yeah,
the match. They climb up real high on the Titantron. He hits him with the kendo stick, and there's that gnarly ass fall.
That's a goodie.
That's a fucking classic. That's one of those one of the few big Shane McMahon bumps that always sticks in my head. That him versus Kurt Angle.
Yeah.
All those. That's just that one sticks in my mind so bad. And shout out to the Lethal Weapon, Steve Blackman. He was just so badass. I don't know what it was.
Taking big bumps, being a big man.
You're just a badass motherfucker. But yeah, and then since I already said it, my number 4 was HBK versus Hulk Hogan. Shawn Michaels overselling like a motherfucker. Just
so good though.
I went back and watched
the most iconic gifts of all time.
He is just when he falls out of the ring and Hogan throws his bandana at him,
so good.
Goddamn, such a great
good.
One.
I think the big boot.
Yeah,
the big boot sell is my favorite part of that whole match.
Which one? What?
The big boot, where he takes the big boot and takes the bump, falls down.
I love when he's also on top of the turnbuckle and he's kicking him and he's bouncing fucking 10 feet in the air. But fuck. Since that was my number 4, let's go ahead and get yours.
My number 4 SummerSlam moment of all time. This is a kid thing for me. I was about 9 years old when this match took place, but it's Taker versus Taker. It was just such a big thing to me as a kid. I loved it. You also having the Leslie Nielsen vignettes that kind of led up to it were super funny. The Naked Gun movies at the time, this is how old I am, were pretty popular. It was really good. The match itself is not very memorable. The match wasn't really that great. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't that great. It was just the build up to it was cool. The idea that they pulled it off with that, I think that's the most charactery, gimmicky match that just sticks out into my mind. It's burned in there. Granted, 1994 is the height of the gimmick era, But yeah, to me it's Undertaker versus Underfaker. It's got to be it, man. Just all the campaigning, the pizza boxes, and all the stuff they did that led up to it was just such a big thing. So yeah, Taker versus Taker for me is my number 4. What's your number 3, Lex?
Okay, coming in at number 3 for me, even though it eventually had a bittersweet ending, it was Finn Balor winning the first ever Universal Championship against Seth Rollins at SummerSlam. And as I said, bittersweet because he ended up getting an injury, tearing his labrum, and having to relinquish the title the next night. But that whole point, he was fresh out the NXT, straight onto Raw, beat Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
Beat Roman Reigns, by the way, to fucking be in the main event, get the title shot. And he was gonna be pushed to the moon, and a fucking injury. It's classic. It's he's the fucking he's the Grant Hill of WWE. He was really good, had a promising career, got an injury, and just kind of.
He's a Derrick Rose, dude. He's a Derrick Rose.
Derrick Rose. Derrick
Rose could have been the GOAT.
Derrick Rose, one of my all-time favorite players.
This is going to be a different podcast at some point, but yes, that dude could have been the GOAT had he not got hurt.
MVP, and then in the final minutes of a playoff game, for no reason being in there, tears his ACL, never makes it back to what he was. He's still a great, serviceable player.
Great player.
but he's
But,
not
like,
that.
and that's what's okay. I know we're sidebarring here, and no one gives a shit, but I do. And I'm gonna say this: Derek Carr, or not Derek Carr,
Derek Carr,
Derek Carr, Jesus, Derek Rose should have been like, could have been the guy that like made the Bulls back to the Bulls. Like he really could have been that guy. I know people are like, "Oh, you're crazy!" Like, dude,
No, he was that
pre-injury.
guy until the ACL and every other injury.
Was unreal.
He was that guy.
Like, he was unreal. Like, he was so
His
good.
MVP season was fucking insane.
I feel like the level of injury he had, most people I feel like wouldn't even have come back from, and he's come back and will still probably be in the Hall of Fame. He's still a really damn good player.
Hey,
but
he's himself said he wants to be the Tom Brady of the NBA and play until he's like 42.
And he should. If he can, why not? People, I mean, I would put him on any. I don't think there's no way he would go a season without getting anytime he wants to play.
Yeah, exactly. He's still like a good, either like a fringe starter or like a solid 6-man.
Absolutely. No doubt about it, man. Like, that dude can still cut it. We're not that's enough about regular sports for this show. Maybe a tease for what is to come in the very distant future. What was your number 3 again? Sorry.
That was it. That was my Finn Balor.
Yeah, Finn Balor and Rollins. Yep. Okay, my number 3 is HBK versus Razor, the second ladder match in 1995. Shit. That's my number 3. It's my bronze medal. And honestly, it's just because I'm a Sean mark too. I feel like he kind of became a babyface at WrestleMania 10, and then by the time he got to this era, it was like people really wanted to see him win. And when he won this one, even though like everything was great in the match except for the very end, and that's why people kind of tarnish it a little bit. But I actually thought that, like, you know, some people were like, oh, you know, WrestleMania 10 was so much better. And WrestleMania 10 was better. I'm not saying it's not. But this was still a damn good match. Like, it was not bad by any means at all.
No, not at all.
Good, like, there were a couple awkward moments, but it wasn't like overwhelming obvious botches. You know what I mean? Like,
it's just unnecessary bias because we've seen other matches that are considered all-time greats that have just as many little slip-ups. So
of course, exactly. So to me, I mean, I think the only thing that hurt it is that it was so close to the rest. It was literally, you know, WrestleMania 10 had happened and then they did it again, and it's like, nah, maybe they should have waited a little bit longer on it. But yeah, I mean, it's still number 3, greatest all-time SummerSlam moment for me. HBK Razor, HBK finally winning the IC title in that ladder match. What's your silver medal? Your number 2?
My number 2 silver medal is SummerSlam from, I want to say either 99 or 2000, but it was the first ever TLC match.
Okay, nice.
And that for me just sticks out so hard. I want to say it was 99.
Okay.
Or 2000, one of the fucking 2 years, but that was the same time that I met the Hardy Boys on Broadway after the first ever SmackDown in Nashville, Tennessee. Like, I was so enthralled with the Dudleys, the Hardys, Edge and Christian, WWF The Music Volume 4. That belt, as you can see in the background, Stone Cold's holding, like, that was the fucking time. Like, No Mercy. No, that was actually WrestleMania 2000 era. Like, that's when wrestling for me was like 100% all or nothing. I was like 8, 9 years old. You know, I was just locked in hard, played with the figures every day, had the Titantron inches with the ring. Just that match right there holds so much just like nostalgia, and it's a fucking fantastic match.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. That's a solid choice. I didn't even think to put that on here. Like, okay, so when we're doing these lists, like, it's literally off the dome. Like, I think about a time, like, I don't do any research. I don't look online. I just think, like, okay, what do I, like, honestly, off the top of my head, these moments that stick out to me and, like, the biggest ones. So that's a good one. I forgot about it being at a SummerSlam, but that's a really good one for sure. My number 2, my bronze medal, is Bret Hart versus Bulldog.
Not your bronze medal, your silver medal.
Or my silver, my bad. My number 2, my silver medal. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that, Wex. Is Bret Hart versus the Bulldog in Wembley Stadium, 1992 for the Intercontinental title. That was like, I think the first time that I had seen wrestling be like wrestling, like the kind, even close to the way we know it now, which not even really. It's more like a European style, like, because they worked in Europe. But like, it was a very, very, very good technical wrestling match, especially for the time. I mean, I think it would hold up today. I think you could have that match today on Triple H's Raw or AEW, and it would be good. It would succeed. It definitely made Bulldog, and I think it's Bulldog's best match of his career. Period. And I think it definitely elevated Brett from the Intercontinental level. I think after even though he lost, it's like, okay, well, that dude's like, the next thing is for him to go and be the champ. Like that. It just made sense for his growth and his ascension that he was going to be that guy, and he was. So for me, it's Brett and Bulldog. That's my number 2, my silver, as Wex liked to correct me there.
Well, that's crazy that we're finally going to get our first UK pay-per-view, like real one.
Yeah.
Since then, finally coming up here soon with WWE.
30 years, man. That's crazy. 30 years later.
Because the Insurrection doesn't count.
No, of course not.
That was an exclusive.
Yeah, that's not the same. And then we had that one night only, which was also kind of an exclusive.
Yeah, pretty much.
But yeah, man. So what was your number 2?
My number 2 was the TLC.
The TLC, that's right. So what's your number 1 overall?
Okay, so my number 1 overall, I haven't heard you say this yet, so I'm pretty sure our number 1 overalls, I'm going to go ahead and call it's going to be the same. I think it's going to be the same. And mine is HBK versus Triple H street fight return match after being gone for fucking forever, after losing a smile and hurting his back.
Yeah, no doubt.
Like we've already covered this before on the show, and we've talked about it many times. What else can I say? It's HBK's first match back after only special guest refereeing and cutting promos and us, like, him being the mystery man for, like, what, 5 years?
Yeah.
It's after he found Christ, I guess. I don't know if it was a gimmick or if it was for real, but he came back, and that was the beginning of, honestly, people don't like to say this, but arguably I'll say I think it may have been the better run of the two.
Yeah, it's hard for me to say better, but it's because they're so different. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like they're so different. I think as a heel, the 90s work is the best ever. And as a babyface, I think the 2000s run was better. But yeah, either way, it's like, and they wrestled different. He wrestled differently. He was not the same. He didn't do the same move set. Of course, he still had his main primary things, the flying forearm and the kip up and the elbow drop and sweet chin music and all that. But he changed a lot of his style. He was doing a lot different things. He had his main trademark stuff. But the wrestling ability. I've said it several times, but to me, it might not be the greatest match of all time, but to me personally, the most impactful wrestling match of my life is this match, is Shawn Michaels Triple H 2002. It just meant so much to me as a fan. It's the greatest SummerSlam moment of all time. I will say this though, for the top 5 for both of us, we did pretty good as far as being pretty diverse in our choices. I'm pretty hype about it. Kind of sad to see SummerSlam season go, but how do you feel about the top 5?
Pretty cool. I knew we were going to be pretty diverse, but that number 1, just because, even though I'm a Stone Cold mark, Shawn Michaels is definitely my very close number 2. So I knew we were going to agree on that one, especially when I didn't hear it the whole time, and I was like, it's got to be. It's just
got to be.
How can you deny that one?